After Abraham set out for the southern country and settled between Kadesh and Shur, staying in Gerar, Abraham said of Sarah, his wife, "She is my sister." Then Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah. But God came to Abimelech on a dark night and said to him, "Behold, you are dead, because of the woman you have taken, for she is a man's wife," although Abimelech had not yet approached her. And he said, "Lord, wilt thou slay the righteous nation? Did she not say to me, 'She is my sister'?" Yes, and she herself said, "It is my brother. With a righteous mind and innocent hands I have done this." And God said to him in a grave tone, "I know that you did with it with righteous mind, and also protected you so that you would not sin against me. Therefore I did not allow you to touch her. Now therefore deliver to the man his wife again, for he is a prophet, and will pray for you that you may live. But if you do not deliver her again, be sure that you will die, you and all that you possess." Then Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants and told them all these things. And the men were greatly afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, "What have you done against me? And what have you given you in return, that you should have caused this great sin upon me and my kingdom? You have done against me things that should not have been done." Then Abimelech said to Abraham, "How did you see that you did these things?" Abraham answered, "Because I thought, surely the fear of God is not here in this place, and they will kill me for my wife's sake. But actually she is my sister, for she is my father's daughter, but not my mother's, and she is my wife. When God had removed from the house of my fathers, I said to her, 'This is your courtesy, which you shall do to me in all places where we shall come. Say of me that he is my brother.' Then Abimelech took sheep and beasts, male servants and female servants, gave them to Abraham, and returned Sarah his wife to him. Abimelech said, 'Behold, my land is before you, dwell where you please.' Likewise he said to Sarah, 'Behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silk. Behold, he is the joy of your eyes to all who are with you and to everyone else.' Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife and his servants, and they bore children. For the Lord had shut up all the women of Abimelech's house, because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Now the Lord visited Sarah, and said as he had said, and did with her what he had promised. For Sarah conceived and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the same time that God had asked him. Abraham named the son who had been born to him and whom Sarah had given him Isaac. Abraham circumcised Isaac, his son, at the age of 8 days, as God had commanded him. So Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Then Sarah said, "God had raised me up. Everyone who hears will rise with me." Then he said, "Who would have told Abraham that Sarah would have children to suck? For I have given him a son in his old age." Then the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the very day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, and she mocked him. Therefore she said to Abraham, "Cast out this slave girl and her son, for the son of this slave girl will not be hereditary with my son Isaac." This was very serious in Abraham's eyes because of his son. But God said to Abraham, "Let it not be grievous in your eyes for the son and for your blonde woman. In all that Sarah shall say to you, hearken to her voice, for in Isaac shall your seed be called. As for the son of the slave girl, I will also make him a nation, for he is your descendant." And Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave them to Hagar, putting them on her shoulder, and also to the child, and sent her away, who departing, wandered into the wilderness of Beer Shebab. When the water in the bottle was finished, he threw the child under a certain tree. Then she went and sat against him far away at the river bank, for she said, I do not want to see the death of the child. She sat down against him, lifted up her head, and wept. Then God heard the child's voice, and the angel of God called to Hagar from above and said to her, What is the matter with you, Hagar? Fear not, for the God has heard the child's voice where he is. Arise, take the child and take it into your hand, for I will make a great people of it. God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the bottle with water and made the child drink. So God was with the child, and he developed and dwelt in the wilderness and was an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran. And his mother took him a wife from the land of Egypt. At the same time, Abimelech and Phicol, his chief, spoke to Abraham, saying, God is with you all in all that you do. Now therefore swear to me here in the name of God that you will not harm me, my children, or my children's children. You will deal with me and with the country where you have been a stranger, according to the kindness I have shown you. Then Abraham said, I swear. Abraham rebuked Abimelech for a well of water that Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. Abimelech said, I do not know who has done these things. You have not told me, and I have not heard of it until today. Then Abraham took sheep and beasts and gave them to Abimelech, and the two made a covenant. And Abraham set aside 10 lambs from the flock. Abimelech said to Abraham, What is the matter with these 10 lambs that you have set aside for them? He answered, Because you will receive from my hand these 10 lambs, that I may be witnessed to have dug this well. That is why the place is so called Beer Shebab, because there they both sworn an oath. So they made a conference at Beer Shebab. Then Abimelech and Phicol, his chief, rose up and went to the land of the Philistines. And Abraham planted a band at Beer Shebab and called upon the name of the Lord, the eternal God. There Abraham remained a stranger in the land of the Philistines for a long time. After these things, God gave Abraham a test and said to him, Abraham, who answered, Here I am. Then he said, Take now your only son Isaac, whom you like, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him as a burnt offering in one of the mountains that I will put out to you. Then Abraham arose early in the morning, saddled his horse, took with him 2 of his servants and Isaac his son, and made wood for the burnt offering, got up and went to the place that God had pointed out to him. On the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the distant place, and said to his servants, Stay here with the plank, for I and the child will go there to worship and return to you. Then Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and placed it on Isaac his son, and took the fire and the knife in his hand. Then Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, My father. And he answered, Here I am, my son. And he said, Here's the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for your burning? Abraham answered, My son, God will make him find a lamb for the burnt offering. When they arrived at the place God had shown them, Abraham built an altar there, placed wood on it, bound Isaac his son, and placed him on the altar over the wood. Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to kill his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from above, saying, Abraham, Abraham. And he answered, Here I am. Then he said, Do not lay your hand on the child, and Do nothing to him, for now I know that you fear God, since for my sake you did not spare your only son. Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram caught by the horns in a bush. Abraham then went and took the ram and offered it as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham called the place Yarai. As we say today, on the mountain the Lord will be seen. The angel of the Lord cried out to Abraham from above for the second time and said, By myself I have sworn, says the Lord, because you did these things and did not spare your only son. For this I will bless thee, and I will greatly multiply thy seed, as the stars of heaven, and as the sand that is on the shore of the sea. And thy seed shall possess the gates of her enemies. And in your descendants all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my command. Then Abraham turned again to his servants, and they arose and went to Beer-sheba together. And Abraham settled in Beer-sheba. After these things, one spoke to Abraham, saying, Behold, Melchi, she also bore children to your brother Nahor, that is, Fizi, its eldest son, but Buz, his brother, and Carmiol, Abraham's father. Shechet, Hazal, and Fildeas, Elieldeaf, and Bethuel. Bethuel begat Rebekah. These 8 sons of Michal bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, named Reumah, also bore Teba, Ganhan, Tahashi, and Makahe. When Sarah was 102 and 70 years old, so long she lived. And Sarah died in Kirat Arba, which is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came and wept for Sarah and mourned for her. Then Abraham arose from the side of her body and spoke to the Hittites, saying, I am a stranger and a foreigner among you. Give me a burial place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. Then the Hittites answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear me, my lord, you are the prince of God among us. In the greatest of our sepulchres, bury your dead. None of us will forbid you his sepulchre, but you may bury your dead there. Then Abraham stood up and prostrated himself before the people of the land of Hittites. Then he spoke to them, saying, If you want me to bury my dead away from me, listen to me and turn for me to the Ephron, the son of Sohor, that he may give me the quarry of Machpelah, which he has at the bottom of his field, that he may give it to me for a price equal to its value, as a possession to be buried among you. For Ephron dwelt among the Hittites. Then Ephron the Hittites answered Abraham in the presence of all the Hittites who entered the gates of his city, Nah, my lord, hear me. The field I have given unto thee, the pit that is therein, I give unto thee, and in the presence of the children of my people I give unto thee to bury thy dead. Then Abraham prostrated himself before the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephron in the presence of the people of the land, saying, If thou wilt give it, I pray thee, hear me. I will give thee the price of the field, receive it of me, and I will bury my dead therein. Then Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My lord, hear me. Your land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is between you and me? Bury therefore your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham delivered to Ephron the silks that he had appointed. With the Hittites, worth 400 shekels of silk and money current among the marches. So the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, and opposite Mamre, the field and the quarry therein, all the trees that were in the field and all in its borders was made secure. to Abraham as property under the eyes of the Hittites, and that all who entered the gates of his city after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the hollow of the field of Machpelah, opposite of Mamre. The same is Hebron, the land of Canaan. So the field and the quarry therein were granted to Abraham as burial property by the Hittites.